Paul's going to teach us today. He's going to talk about Jesus in the marketplace. Paul says this, obey, it would say, employees, obey your earthly bosses in everything that you do. He would say this, number one, complete your assigned tasks. Complete your assigned tasks. Now this assumes that you know what your boss wants. How many of you have ever worked for a boss and you have no idea what their expectations are? And their expectations change all the time. I believe that clear expectations make for great relationships. We use something we call the 6x6 here. And here's the way it works. We say these are the 6 things that we're going to focus on in the next 6 months. And so whenever I'm meeting with all my direct reports, I say, let's go over those 6 things. What are the 6 things? Why? Because I want to make sure that there is clarity of expectations. And then we run it through what's called a SMART filter. Some of you are familiar with this. You know this filter. It's called, make sure that our 6 things are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Go above and beyond what's asked of you. Here's what he says. Try to please them all the time, not just when they're watching you. Now, this made me kind of laugh some, because we all know that whenever the boss walks in, we've all seen this happen before, that people like minimize solitaire. People like get off their smartphones, and all of a sudden people start pretending like they're working all of a sudden. And that's what Paul says. He says, listen, don't just work when your boss is watching you. Make sure that you are working at all times. Paul is suggesting do more than average. I'm amazed at how many people in the workforce are in love with average, aren't you? It's amazing. Have you ever tried to call somebody up, maybe an electrician, maybe you're somebody to work in your air conditioning, whatever it may be, you call somebody up and you're like, hey, can you come out and help me fix it? They don't show up. You ever had that happen to you? Or else you send a call and they just don't respond back. You're like, man, I thought people are looking for work. I thought people need help. And man, we have an average workforce at best. And Paul says as followers of Jesus, we should make sure that we do more than average. Instead of trying to compete with other people, man, work to complete them. I believe as Christians, as followers of Jesus, we should be the best employees. We should be the most dependable. We should have the highest integrity. We should have the most character of anyone else as followers of Jesus Christ. And we should work, and we should work hard. Let me tell you, one of the greatest compliments that I ever received was just recently. I was at a business community event, and the owner of the Chick-fil-A here in Yorba Linda came up to me and he said, "You're Pastor Brian from Crosspointe Church." I said, "Yes." He said, "I just hired another employee from Crosspointe Church." He said, "I have so many people that work at Chick-fil-A here in Yorba Linda from your church." And he says, "They are some of the best employees that I've ever had." Can I tell you, that speaks highly of our church? And may that be said about all of us as followers of Jesus Christ. What is your motivation for serving other people? Is it to oblige them so they owe you one? Is it to serve them so that you build your own image and your own brand? Is it to serve them to build reciprocation so they'll do something back for you? Or is it a selfless desire to see another person benefit? That is God's standard of service. It's the habit of forgetting about yourself, forgetting about your career trajectory, forgetting about your bottom line in order to take care of somebody else. Remember what Jesus did before he went to the cross? He had his final meal, the Last Supper. And you know what I would be doing if I was Jesus, having my last pep talk with the disciples before I'm about to die and go to heaven? I would say, listen to everything I'm about to tell you. Get your pens and your pencils out, because I'm getting ready to leave, and you need to know what to do. But you know what Jesus did? They came in. He disrobed himself. And he took a towel and a basin and water. And he began to massage and clean filthy, disgusting disciples' toes that were filled with like cow dung all over them and horse dung. And then he said this: if you want to be great, serve others. And serve them sincerely, not for what you get back. Serve them out of reverent fear of the Lord. There are 3 types of motivation. There is external motivation. That's what the world uses mostly, is external motivation. And I'm not against it. Matter of fact, we use some external motivation around here. External motivation is when you get a pay raise, or whenever you get a bonus, or you get some kind of a trip, or you get a title, or you get more responsibility, or you get the corner office, whatever it may be. That's all external motivation. We're familiar with that. There's a second level of motivation, though, that's even greater than this external motivation. It's internal motivation. This is whenever you are self-starter. This is whenever you have goals and you have inward drive. And whenever I'm hiring people, as our church has grown significantly and our staff has grown, I'm looking for people that have character, that have competency, that have Christ-likeness, that have high capacity, and also have inner drive. I don't want to hold people's hand. I want people that are hungry, that have a desire to be able to do what God's called them to do and make sure that they're in the right seat of the bus. Internal motivation is very important, but there's something greater than external motivation and internal motivation. And if you work, you need to listen to this. It's eternal motivation. It's recognizing that what you are doing, you are truly working for God. And God sees what you're doing. That means that if you agree to work 9 to 5, you work 9 to 5. And you think maybe your boss won't see you if you cut out early or you call in. Listen, you're not working for your boss, you're working for God. And the eyes of the Lord are in every place. He sees the evil and He sees the good. Michelangelo was painting the Sistine Chapel. And as he was painting, talk about excellence. It's breathtaking. He was 37 whenever he completed it, but he looked like an old man. He had worked so hard on the Sistine Chapel. He lost most of his eyesight working diligently on the Sistine Chapel. One day he was working in an obscure corner. He was working for hours and hours and hours in this little dark corner. And this man came in and he said, Michelangelo, why are you spending so much time diligently working in this little small dark corner that no one will ever see? Michelangelo replied, God will see it. God will see it. That, my friends, is eternal motivation. May we be the best workers for God's honor and for God's glory. And God says, I see it, and I will bless you for it, and I will bring favor upon it whenever you do it God's way. Jesus, period. Jesus in the workplace.